So I'm still trying to get a handle on this book because no matter how much I read it and no matter how much the class actually helps like a lot, but I don't know if any of you guys feel this way, but reading it I still sometimes just end up just as lost as I was every single time I read a chapter. Maybe I'm just like lit theory tarded, I do not know. But I'm still trying to put things together. So in the same class where we talked about being captured in school in a cycle, we also talked about disciplinary societies versus control societies. How disciplinary is more, I believe, internal? Yeah, internal. And how control is externalization, and how we should be leaving traces. I remember our professor talking about how he finds it fascinating that when we leave this classroom, our classroom, we don't really know he doesn't really know what happens to us, because we all diffuse out, do different things, and I've often thought about that too. I mean, like, if you go to like a supermarket and you see people like bringing food to their car and you're like, oh, I wonder if they're buying that for a party, and I've had these thoughts before where like you just look at a person and you're just like, I wonder where they're going, what they're going through, how they're feeling, what's new in their life, like what they're thinking. It's fascinating to me that just people all have their own different agendas that we'll never know because we're not them. And at least like with your friends, you can talk to them and find out what people are doing. But with a stranger, you will never know. And maybe a stranger just fascinates you, and you can even just make up some sort of thing, or try to play Sherlock Holmes and try to figure it out based on what they're wearing or what they're carrying. Yeah, so that was completely off topic from what I wanted to do with this, but he was talking about leaving traces in different places. How we all kind of have our agendas and how we like diffuse out. And I wanted to talk about something called culture jamming. There's ad jamming, culture jamming, other names for little segments, glamour bombing, poetic terrorism, which is the more uncomfortable term. Basically, it's when you take culture or an ad, it's usually done with like corporations and ads, and you jam it. So maybe if I can I'm gonna see if I can actually find some examples to actually put in this video. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that, and then I'll cut back and I'll explain it. There we go. So as you can see, ad jamming, culture jamming, I'm not an expert on it, so I'm just gonna try and explain it a little bit so at least you guys kind of get where I'm coming from. But if you go out and you research culture jamming, like, you'll find so much stuff out there. It's amazing. But basically it's trying to deterritorialize people from their everyday agenda. It's about snapping people out of what they're doing and making them see maybe a corporation for its hidden agenda. You know, like there's ads like, you know, like the vehicle driving along the mountain and the streams and going through this wild forest, and like it'll say some catchy phrase like blah blah blah, buy our car. And basically an ad jammer would be like, oh, well, look at this car and you're destroying the earth. Like, no fancy amount of images of you driving through streams are going to make up for the fact that you're taking gasoline and oil and polluting the earth. Like, it's true. actually, but you know, um, my specific favorite is something called glamour bombing, which is kind of a very, I associate it with like magic and fairies. Um, it's something that kind of has a little snap that is supposed to kind of jar people out of their mundane world so that they kind of think that there is something magical in the world. Actually, a lot of you might see this in, there was a thing a while back where they had like that event going on where you took like post-it notes or something and you wrote positive reinforcement on it, positive things like smile, you're beautiful, or wake up because it's a beautiful day, or you're a special person, or I love you. Really positive things to make you look at the world different. And people would post them anywhere they could. Bathroom mirrors. I saw one in Scott Hall, I think, once. And it wasn't me. Sometimes even bathroom graffiti can be like that. Sometimes you read something in a bathroom that, for a moment, is funny or true, and it takes you out of your... I mean, you're sitting in the bathroom trying to do your thing, and instantly you read something that just... especially in, like, the Murray Hall bathrooms. I don't know what's up with the people in Murray Hall, and, like, obviously the girls are only going to know what I'm talking about, but, like, there's some really funny things, and true things, and kind of deep things on the wall. And every time I go into Murray Hall, it's a different experience. And I'm just like, huh, what did they write on the bathroom today? But, like, it's kind of like that. And glamour bombing is like... Somebody glamour bombs Passion Puddle a lot, or used to, and I may be involved in some of that. But there was somebody doing it at Passion Puddle who I did not know who it was. And it was... I mean, I recognize a glamour bomb when I see one, obviously, because it's really fun to do. But I was like, what? Like, somebody tied one of the willow trees that's overhanging Passion Puddle into, like, little knots and put, like, note cards in them with, like, different weird sayings on them. And it was just so out of the ordinary and awesome that I was just like... I took like a whole hour just taking things out and reading them and putting them back. I know the same person, or maybe a different person, but probably the same person, scattered Passion Puddle like with rose petals once. Like different colored rose petals that obviously were not from the area, so I was like, where did this come from? It was pretty, and it was just amazing. Other ones I've seen are I think somewhere on vacation I saw somebody had written "sing" in chalk and circled it. I thought that was absolutely fascinating. It's things like that that jar you out of whatever you're doing and make you see the world differently. And it's definitely leaving traces somewhere where somebody is meant to find it. And I think the fact that it's an anonymous act makes it better, just because you know that somebody's going to find it, and you know it's going to jar somebody out of their everyday world, but you will never know. That's half the fun. So yeah, that's decoding, that's deterritorialization. Bleh. And it's definitely taking something and externalizing it. It's just fascinating to me that people will go out there and just bam, try to just knock you off your head. And I think we need that, because otherwise the world's just boring, and we go about our everyday lives and we just don't see the world. So yeah, that's my little ramble on leaving traces. And I hope if this inspires you, please look up glamour bombing, please look up culture jamming, and don't get yourself put in jail, but I definitely urge you to try it because it is a lot of fun. Yeah, so see you guys in class.